Welcome back to the Suck My DFS podcast presented by the Game House. I'm Braxton and Will with the Game House, joined by the coach, Will Shearholtz. He said he was showing up for Thursday, and he's here on Thursday. What's going on, Will?
Not much, man. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty good, as Larry David would say. Another late night for you. We're going to have to rush through this one as well. I heard the pitchers did not perform so well today.
Tough night on the mound.
No scouts there either.
2.
Oh, wow. Just stop telling them when the scouts are showing up. That's the problem.
That's got to be the issue.
Tell them no one's watching.
I should.
Don't even have the coaches go out there. Just have them play and be like, hey, you guys just got to play and figure this thing out. Meanwhile, people are doing up in the booth, pulling the old Spygate. Everyone's watching, But so excited to have Will back for today's DFS edition of the podcast for Week 8. Missed him last weekend due to some crazy scheduling, but we're glad to have him back. What are your overall impressions of this slate, Will?
There's some interesting games in this slate. I haven't been upset with any week so far in the NFL. I think it's been really exciting to this point. I don't see why it would be any different this week.
Right. When scoring is up, it's a rising tide benefits all boats. So that means not only are there more options to play, but scoring is up as a whole. These pay lines now, every week it seems like I'm talking about the pay lines being up, and this past week was a very low threshold to cash because there are a lot of injuries and a lot of chalk did not hit. So if you played a Cam Newton at 6% owned in cash games, he pretty much carried you to victory. But I don't know if we'll have the same luck this weekend. But before we get into the game-by-game examination, we have to go to our top fives. I'm excited to go back to this one. We talked about this one in Week 6. Will, what is today's top 5?
It's our biggest L's in fantasy football. So players that we may have thought were going to be really good that were bad, or players that are bad that we thought were going to be good.
Players we were high on, and it just for one reason or another, it hasn't panned out, and they're pretty much useless at this point. So let's kick off the list. Your number 5 L on the season, Will.
So I'm going to go with a player I was low on, and he's been good.
Okay.
And that's Andrew Luck.
There we go.
Especially recently, but he's been real hot, and so I'm happy to see it because I'm a Colts fan. Not a huge Colts fan, but
right.
Moderately.
You're just a fan of good football, and you're a fan of good players. So
I've been I was down on him, and he's been a pretty good player. So I'll take the L on that one.
I'm happy to take the honorary W on your L right there. But we all know I'm just an Andrew Luck fanboy. He can do no wrong. In my eyes, I will place blame everywhere except at his feet. My number 5 player that I missed on was Jamal Williams. I was advocating for Jamal Williams everywhere in the 7th, 8th, 9th round of your drafts because this is a running back who had a clear path to workload the first 2 weeks of the season. And then, with Aaron Jones returning from suspension after those 2 games, he may not have an opportunity to win the job back. Little did I know, Jamal Williams was going to suck. And now, I will just clarify my position. I am absolutely taking the L, but I recommended Williams. If you're about that Mark Ingram life, which I was about taking Mark Ingram. Williams was a guy you followed up with a round or 2 later to sort of bridge the gap between weeks 1 and week 5 when Ingram came back. But, oh my gosh, he's been so disappointing. I'm pretty sure I cut him before Ingram even made a start in my lineup.
Yeah,
Jamal Williams has been terrible.
It's like run game in Green Bay. It doesn't really matter who the player is. It just doesn't work out.
Sadly, I also did not examine close enough Mike McCarthy and the ineptitude that was going to ensue this year. But yeah, we have plenty of more misses to get to, and I like talking about the misses more than the makes because anyone has makes. You have to learn from the mistakes you made. So anytime, with these running backs by committee or their reports, hey, multiple guys are going to get the workload, I'm going to have to take that more to heart and not so much see what I want to see what is actually there. I'll have to remember that going into next season. But let's get to our game-by-game examination of the Sunday main slate on FanDuel. Just a couple reminders. We got Thursday Night Football going on right now. I just watched Frank Gore try to catch a pass on 4th and 1. Needless to say, that did not go well for the Dolphins. The Texans now have the ball. But
why is it Frank Gore? And they're going to throw the ball to him. Why is it Frank Gore, not Kenyon Drake?
Adam Gase, Mike McCarthy, all these coaches who just sort of do whatever they want. I don't know. Great question, Will. But just as a reminder, there's another London game. Philly, Jacksonville is Sunday morning, so it's not on the main slate. But remember to get those players in or out of your lineups in time. We've got a lot of teams on bye this week. Falcons, Chargers, Cowboys, and there's a fourth team. It's escaping me right now. The Titans. Those 4 teams are on bye. So a lot less options on this main slate, but I'm okay. Your first game, Will.
I've got Cleveland at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is an 8-point favorite at home, over under set at 49 points. I think 8 points is a little bit too many, honestly, in a divisional matchup. These teams play a lot of close games. I do think Pittsburgh will win easily, but 8 points just seems like too many to me. And I'm going to take the over on the 49 points. Both these teams do not have good defenses. I know it could be some sloppy weather there in Pittsburgh as we get a little bit later in the season, but I expect Big Ben to put up big points and no reason to think that Baker Mayfield won't be able to get something going offensively against a pretty bad defense.
Yeah, I have not rewatched the Browns-Bucks game. I don't know why it took so long for the Cleveland offense to get going against a bad team like that. I don't know if it was a Mayfield problem, if guys were dropping the ball, if the line was protecting. So I don't know why they had such – oh, my God, that was great, that trip. Oh, my goodness. How is that not a penalty? Anyways, yeah, I'm not so sure why it took them so long to get going. I would probably take the under just because these divisional games in an unproven rookie quarterback, even though I like Mayfield. But there's definitely some assets in that game that are daily fantasy viable for sure. My first game is Denver at Kansas City. Kansas City's a 10-point home favorite, over under 53.5. I think I'll take the under in this game because I just don't know if the second time around, whatever Denver did to have success defensively against the Chiefs, I'm sure Reed has got a solution for that. And if Reed has a solution for their pass rush, then this Broncos team has no hope. And like we saw with the Bengals, who are far superior offense, when a team becomes one-dimensional, it's pretty easy to defend them. So I'm taking the under because I don't think Denver can do their part and score the points necessary to push the over.
Interesting. You talked about Denver not being able to do their part offensively. That's interesting. Might come up a little bit later.
Yes, pre-show talks indicate that will come up. That will come up later. Jesus.
I've got the Jets at the Bears. Chicago is a 7.5-point favorite at home, over under set at 45 points. I'm going to take Chicago, and I'm going to take the over, and it's because I like Chicago's offense to keep rolling.
It's not very predictive offense, but points.
It's not.
You're like, points will be scored.
They're going to come
Don't
from
ask
somewhere.
me who's going to do it.
I don't know, but I think at home they will roll the Jets.
So if you're playing Trubisky, are you going naked? Just kind of like how most people do Cam Newton? Like if you're going to play that quarterback, just roll him out by himself and leave it?
I'm going to talk. I'll let you know a little bit later.
Okay. Nice. I don't know. And see, this talking point you're going to bring up later, I have no idea about. I have an idea about the Denver defense coming, or the Kansas City defense coming up, but I'm interested to hear about that little tease you put out right there. My next game, Washington at the Giants. Depending on where you look, you can get Washington -1, New York -1, but where we get our information from on Thursday, it's a pick'em. Great. I pick Washington, and over under 42, it's going to be under. Now, when you have guys like Barkley and Beckham, picking the under is not an easy thing to do because one play can be a house call if they make a guy miss. So I will be nervous about that prediction holding up, but I just think the Washington front is going to be so dominant against. We saw what the Atlanta defense did to that offensive line.
If they can get close, I think they're one of the best teams. They're suited for taking Saquon away better than a lot of teams.
I agree.
So that's going to make it really difficult on the Giants to score because Eli doesn't have time. But
right. And also, we also have to take this into account. I think the Redskins are going to have more success running the ball, controlling the game, because the Giants traded away not only Eli Apple, but Damon Harrison. Anybody who knows football knows he's one of the best run-stopping defensive tackles in the entire league. And with that force in the middle out, this is going to be an interesting Adrian Peterson day.
Yeah.
So I think they'll be able to control the clock, control the line of scrimmage, and play a game that's conducive for the Redskins. So I like Washington, and I like the under.
I like it.
Yep.
I've got Seattle at Detroit. Detroit is a 3-point favorite at home, over-under set at 49.5 points. As much as I want to take Detroit here, I think we're going to take Seattle. They're going to try to run the football because Detroit's run D is that bad. I don't know if they'll have a lot of success. I'm going to take the under on the 49.5 points. I think Detroit might struggle a little bit to move the football. Seattle's defense kind of stepped up the last few weeks. Yeah. And I could see them trying to pound the rock like they did last week and it not working the way they thought it would.
Them sort of sputtering at the beginning?
Yeah.
Let me ask you, I just talked about Damon Harrison's absence. He was traded to the Lions. How quickly do you think he'll be able to have an impact on this awful Lions run defense?
I mean, I think it's not that hard to pick up, a playbook if you're a defensive lineman, right? So he's going to make some sort of impact.
Especially with a lot of their things being game plan specific, the kind of offense they run, like, hey, in our new base, in our base defense, you're going to shade outside all the time because they like to attack this way. So game plan specific can help him out, but I'm overlooking Damon Harrison. I'm going to say, you know what? He's been there maybe a couple days. He probably just practiced. Maybe he didn't even practice on Thursday because you still have to clear the physical and all the other things, like the administrative details before you can practice. So I don't see him having any impact this week. So I like the Seattle run game.
I like the Seattle run game too. And that's why I'm taking the under because of that Seattle run game.
Yeah, always take the under with Schottenheimer. Good Lord. Okay, moving on to Tampa Bay at Cincinnati. Cincinnati minus 4.5. Over under 54. I think I like the Bucks. I like the opposite. I like the Bucks with the 4.5 I'm getting. This is a capable offense, and Jameis has only had 2 starts. He had the 1 start against Atlanta coming off the bye. Then he's had a 2nd start at home against the Browns. I don't think he's looked particularly bad from a fantasy standpoint. He's really good. Now,
I think he's looked good.
The rushing touchdown's a little fluky. He's not a guy who runs it all. Like, he maybe gets 150 total rushing yards a season, and he will sneak 1 or 2 rushing touchdowns in. So that's not something you can rely on week in and week out. But I like it. I mean, what did you tell me before the show started? He goes, Braxton, do you realize how bad the Bengals defense is?
Cincinnati's got the 31st ranked overall defense in the league.
Man, okay, so is that total points or total yards? Or is it like the totals of the total?
The totals of the totals.
Oh, God.
So it's like the 27th ranked pass D and like I don't know, it's really bad run D too. I didn't realize they were even close to that bad.
Neither did I, but once you brought that up, I'm like, Tampa Bay can take advantage of that. So I like Tampa Bay to cover, and I like the over of 54.
I'm with you.
Yes. I wish I had more DFS player interest in this game, but, I'm drawn to one game in particular, like I'm sure everyone will be.
Yeah.
But your next game will.
I've got Baltimore at Carolina. Baltimore is a 2-point favorite on the road, over-under set at 44 points. This is a tough game for me to pick. I'm taking Carolina because they're at home. I think they're going to win the game outright in a grinded-out game. I think, both these teams are like fringy playoff teams to me.
We're taking the under in this game, right?
Oh, 100%. 44 points is no question.
Under. Okay, good.
No question.
I was about to say, this could be very similar to last week's game where nothing happens for 3.5 quarters.
I almost think Flacco is going to win it or lose it for his team.
Okay.
He's going to throw a late pick or he's going to throw a late touchdown to win it. And I think Cam will do what, kind of Cam does. Yes. He'll be inaccurate. He'll have a couple rushing touchdowns, or not a couple rushing touchdowns,
a couple rushing plays. Big 3rd down conversions. Yeah. So does his injury worry you at all? Because it was sort of a shoulder thing he had last season that he played through. It just concerns me because of the defense. Like, we saw Breeze go on the road. And I don't say he struggled, but it was not the normal New Orleans Saints offense that we see.
100%.
So I actually am on the Baltimore side as far as the spread goes. I think Baltimore wins on a field goal.
Oh, yeah.
On a Justin Tucker field goal, funny enough.
I could 100% see that. That doesn't surprise me at all.
I definitely like the under, though.
I lean a little bit more to this being a pick-em than you do. Maybe it's my affinity for Cam Newton.
It's all right.
And the Panthers.
Cam bailed me out in a big way, so I'm never against fading Cam. Maybe in cashing, but almost never in a tournament. Cam Newton can come alive for you.
He really can.
It's those rushes, man. I was sweating it so hard when he had like 6 points through 3 quarters. And then you text me saying like, oh my God, Cam showed up. I'm like, thank God Cam showed up. My goodness. My next game, Indy at Oakland. Indy, 3-point road favorite. When was the last time a 2-5 team was a road favorite? I don't know. Like, is there any scenario in which like we've seen that before?
I don't think so.
Not in recent memory. Now, I'm not a big, spread guy, history against the spread, but it just seems so odd. Over-under at 50.5. I don't think there's a way this gets to the over. And I actually like the Raiders. This is, even with all the firestorm, like, it just seems way too obvious to take the Colts, right?
It does.
It seems so obvious, especially after they just rolled Buffalo.
I don't agree with you because I think they're gonna put up a lot of points.
Do you think the Raiders are just packing it in?
I have to believe they're gonna pack it in. I don't know. I could be wrong. Maybe they'll come out like ready to go, but I just don't think they got enough. I mean, the Colts are like starting to play better. It's not just that they rolled the Bills, like they played well.
They were way more balanced,
yes,
which is the big thing. But yeah, I would love to take Indy, but I think the smarter bet is just take Oakland, take the home dog with 3 points. I think I'll take the under though, because I don't think Oakland can do their part in scoring enough. But I also don't think Indy's as good as we saw last week, as much as I love them, and as much as I want to cash on that bet with Will. I love those text updates, by the way. Hey, that bet's looking pretty good for you, right? 2-5? Yeah.
It's looking real good.
I'm in a little bit of trouble. They're going to have to win some games they have no business being in. But just to summarize, I like Oakland with the 3. I like Oakland getting the 3, and I like the under at 50.5. And I really like Marlon Mack. He's not in my write-up because he didn't practice today, but, man, if Mack can go, I'm going to have serious, problems not having him in one of my 2 cash lineups.
For sure.
Yep. Is this your last game?
My last game. I've got San Francisco at Arizona. It's a pick-em over-under set at 42.5 points. I'm going to take Arizona.
Yes, I am as well.
And I'm going to take the over.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know why I'm going to take the over. For some reason, I feel like both teams will be able to move the ball.
Yeah, these are just 2 bad teams. When 2 bad teams play each other, the offenses
usually have the advantage this year, right? Offensive league. I'll take the offense. Let's go.
I'm just so surprised Arizona's getting disrespected like this. And I don't want to say it like they're some, established brand in the NFL. But I mean, how quickly we forget. Arizona went to San Francisco and smashed this team a couple weeks ago. It's just because we saw them on a standalone game on Thursday night get their head kicked in by the Broncos that people are like, oh no, the Niners. The Niners are not very good. So I love that. I'm right there with you with San Francisco. Right there with you. I got lucky in today's when we're divvying out the games, and I go down footballlocks.com. That's where I get this information from. I get to talk about Green Bay at the Rams. So, Will, if you had to guess, what do you think the line is? But I'll give you this bit of information before you guess. Do you already know what it is or no?
The last time I heard it was 10.
Okay, I'll tell you. It's the big Aaron Rodgers. This is the biggest underdog he's ever been in his career. Sorry, so are you sticking with 10?
10.
Okay, so what we have right now is Rams minus 9.5.
Can I guess the over-under?
Yeah.
56.5.
Right on.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's really 56.5.
Wow.
Yes. Very nice. All right, so I'm actually, since you're on fire, what do you like here? Because this is the most important game. This is going to make or break the slate because there's so many options, though the total's so high. The assets are so attractive that if this game hits, the pay lines are going to be high. If this game flops, we're going to see our normal, 120, 125 cash lines.
So the amount of times Aaron Rodgers has made people look stupid.
Every time.
I mean, underdog Aaron Rodgers, it's so hard to bet against that guy. I'm taking the Rams. And I'm going to take the over.
So you're taking the Rams to cover the 9.5 to 10?
I think the Rams are going to come out
and send a message
and put up 56 by themselves. And
That'll
Rodgers won't even have a chance. He'll probably throw for 400 something yards in this game and throw some touchdowns, and the Rams will just not let off the gas, and he won't have a chance to win it for him.
That's interesting because
Can
I don't
Green
because
Bay
the Rams
really stop Gurley.
Zero. No, they couldn't stop the Niners on Monday Night Football 2 weeks ago. But I also don't think that the Rams defense is good enough to really bottle this team up. Well, I mean, they're really good up front. At the interior, they can get pressure that way, but that's almost irrelevant with Rodgers because he's so mobile. Like when you have a non-mobile quarterback, pressure up the middle, like what we saw Monday night with Eli Manning. If there's pressure up the middle on Eli, he's done. He folds. But when you have these mobile quarterbacks, you really need to collapse them inward and not force them out. So I don't even see that being a huge issue for Aaron. I will take Green Bay in the points. I'll take Aaron Rodgers at 9.5, and I'll take the over as well because I have a lot of interest in this game, so I want it to go over.
Yeah, for sure.
That's going to be such a fun afternoon game. By the way, all you Kenyon Drake owners who held out, touchdown Kenyon Drake on Thursday Night Football. Can you believe my dad wanted to get rid of Kenyon Drake? I'm like, D, you spent a third, fourth round pick on this guy. Just keep him on the bench. You gotta keep him in. Real. Oh my God! I hope I put him in the lineup for him, or else he's gonna be pissed. Anyways, you guys don't care about my dad's fantasy teams. I hardly care about my dad's fantasy teams. He even cares less than you and I do about his own teams. But before we move on to our players to build around, yes, I write that material before the show starts and make sure I nail it word for word. But before we go to the players to build around, got to get back to our top 5 L's of the season. Will, you're number 4 and number 3 fantasy football L's this season as far as players go.
Number 4 for me, it's not like he's having an unbelievable season, but he's having a very, very productive fantasy season. He's the 15th ranked player at his position. Christian McCaffrey is number 4 for me. He hasn't been as good as a lot of people. I thought he was going to be terrible. Like in the 30s.
Well, when he started going in early second round, no, absolutely not. I don't even think he was worth a second round pick. So I'm curious, why is this an L for you? Just because he's played so well?
Because he's been way more productive than I thought he was going to be. And a lot of that is honestly his snap count is way higher than I thought it was. And
here's the thing right now. So this is why I was so anti-McCaffrey. Not because of his skill set or his workload, because right now he and Kamara have almost identical numbers in terms of opportunities, have almost the same number of catches. I think Kamara has one more carry than him. You know what the difference is? Kamara has 7 touchdowns.
Yeah.
That's why you don't draft Christian McCaffrey on a team like the Panthers, because he doesn't get the runs. Cam Newton gets those runs. And for as much as these people saying, no, he'll catch touchdowns. Really? Running backs catching touchdowns are not, they're not predictable. Yeah, you can point to Kareem Hunt and Todd Gurley, but those are outliers. And those are guys who are also getting the goal line carries. So when they're getting thrown to, it's unexpected when they're closer to the goal line. So it's interesting you're taking the loss on McCaffrey.
I am, because...
And he also has a 28 carry game in which he didn't score a touchdown.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. I thought...
He would be worse than this.
I thought C.J. Anderson was going to get touches.
Oh, okay.
He doesn't even get touches.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I just know I've got players on my roster, running backs on my roster I was way more high on that are not even close to what Christian McCaffrey's status is. And that's why he's number 4 for me.
Okay.
He's down my list a little bit. Number 3 for me is Adam Thielen, because I was so high on Diggs, and I thought this was going to be Diggs' year. Thielen was going to play second fiddle to him, and it just hasn't happened.
No.
So he could definitely be higher on my list. I just got a couple other guys that
you must have just really loved.
I was really off on.
Yes.
So
I have a feeling we're going to share some of the same guys. My number 4, I've talked about this guy the past couple weeks. Robbie Anderson. I tried to get him everywhere. This was a player that you could get in the 7th, 8th, 6th round, maybe even later. I thought this was going to be a guy who has a breakout year and then is being drafted in the 3rd or 4th round in next year's fantasy drafts. I legitimately thought that's what this was going to be with Robbie Anderson. It has not been that. With the Anunwa injury, some of this other stuff, he's getting more heavily targeted, but this is not an offense I want to be invested in. I don't think Sam Darnold's bad, but there's just way too many options right now. They're just, so disappointed with Robbie Anderson and the way that he has not been used. And then number 3, I'm sure this guy's going to make an appearance on your list. Man, I was wrong about Marvin Jones. I was so high about Marvin Jones, and I spoke about this. The crazy thing was I wasn't able to get him anywhere because a lot of people I play with like Marvin Jones. He went in 2 drafts, the pick right before me. So I guess I owe that person a thank you note for saving me from this Marvin Jones struggle. But, man, I did not see Galladay taking this much of a – cutting into his touchdowns this much. And I also did not see the Lions committing to running the football. I knew Patricia was going to make that an emphasis because that's what he had openly talked about. And when you look at the drafting, when you sign LeGarrette Blount and you draft Kerryon Johnson and bring in linemen, you want to run the ball. But, man, I just did not think Jones would be irrelevant like he's been. So I guess the note on that is when there's a coaching change and they're bringing in free agents, maybe don't be as high on a receiving core where there's 3 players in it. I mean, I just didn't see it coming at all.
I don't have Jones on my list, but he could easily be my number 1. Because I have him too, and I was really excited for the year he was going to have, and he's just not been good.
He's not been. He's not getting touchdowns. He's not getting consistent targets between the 20s. But you know what? Let's move into the part of the podcast you all come for. You probably fast forward to this part because you know what? This is the best part. Players to build around this week. Will, start us off with the quarterback position. Will Fuller's gone. That's pretty sick. Nope, he got tackled out of bounds. Nice to see Will Fuller come back. 2 weeks, he's been just completely irrelevant. Nice to have you back, 15.
With those dreads, it's hard to tell him differently than DeAndre Hopkins.
I mean, Hopkins is bigger, but no, for the most part, you're right, because the 15 and the 10 in these weird uniforms look kind of similar tonight.
Yeah.
He's Color Rush, man.
Color Rush.
Color Rush is back. Let's start with the quarterbacks. What quarterbacks do you like this week? Go Lamar Miller.
Down at the 1.
This is why we usually record this in a different room where there's no television because on Thursday night, this is what happens. I can't help myself. I played Lamar Miller. If there's ever going to be a time, it's against these Dolphins, these woeful Dolphins who are awful against the run, and he's got to get a touchdown. Oh, my, 1st and goal.
I need a Watson rushing.
Play-by-play. No. Just give it to Miller. Come on. We'll get to the quarterbacks in a second, people. This is important. Nope. Stuffed. Just completely stoned. Quarterbacks you like, Will.
My tier 1 quarterback, and we talked about this game, but Jared Goff against Green Bay for 8,500. I really think they're just going to light up Green Bay's defense, and he's going to be a big part of it. Obviously, Todd Gurley will be a big part of it as well, but Goff's having an MVP-type season. No reason to think it won't continue this week against Green Bay.
Yes, we're going to have a conversation about that game and about one of those players specifically in a second here. My tier 1 quarterback is also in that game, Aaron Rodgers. So I think paying up at quarterback is a way to differentiate this week. And because Rodgers is playing, a defense that's not as good as their reputation and an offense that's going to score points, I think Rodgers is the safest of these tier 1, these upper-priced options at 8,600. He's coming off a bye week. He doesn't have an injury designation, which I love, which means the mobility is probably going to be at 80%, which is enough. And I think this is going to play out from a game flow a lot like Rams, Minnesota a couple weeks ago on Thursday night. And there were points to be had in that game. So if I'm going to pay up, I'm paying up for Rodgers. 8,600.
I don't hate it.
Yes.
I do not hate it at all.
Right.
My tier 2 guy, I really, really wanted to go Dalton here against the Bucs at home.
Is he too expensive?
No, I don't think so. I'm just kind of scared of him because you got me on this Dalton at home is not good. And I kind of like the Bucs this week, and Dalton's coming off a bad game. I don't know. It scared me off. So I'm going to go with the rushing upside of Mitch Trubisky at home
I don't hate
against
it.
the Jets for 7,700.
So I asked you about this. If you're making a lineup with Trubisky, are you worried about stacking him with anyone?
I am going to stack him with Tarek Cohen.
Okay.
And it's because I can't trust any of the receivers. Obviously, Trey Burton would be a really good option, but it can only be to me Tarek Cohen or Trey Burton.
Right.
Because as much as I want to, I know Jordan Howard got in the end zone last week, but
he got in the end zone twice actually. One got called back, but I mean, you could say, that doesn't matter.
Just gets the more consistent.
I think
carry. He gets more consistent. More reps. He touches the ball more.
It's a fine play. It's kind of like a couple weeks ago where I was advocating golf Gurley. Like, just get the whole Rams offense. Get shares of the whole thing that way. I don't mind Cohen. I think Cohen's just a little bit too expensive, man. What's he 71? Like, 7,100. That's an expensive stack because I could go down to, at 71, I could save 400, go to Marlon Mack if he's going to play against the awful Raiders. I could go down to a guy I'm going to talk about later, so I'm going to keep that under wraps. I just think he's a little too expensive for a guy who's in a clear timeshare. While he's right now getting more workload, he's not getting the whole thing. It's an absolute committee with Jordan Howard's presence.
I agree.
But I think that's a smart stack. I think it is. My tier 2 quarterback, Matt Stafford. I have not been on this guy once all year. I rode him a lot last year, but simply the volume it's not a traditional Matt Stafford year where they're throwing it 35 times a game, and that's working for the Lions. So we're getting him at a bit of a discount, 7,300 at home. He's had multiple touchdown passes in every game since week 1. And then right after week 1, he had a 3-touchdown game, evening that out. So he's averaging 2 touchdown passes a game. I love him at home, and there are so many cheap, stackable options with him. That's what I really like about Stafford. Plus, I think it's going to play out with, like you said earlier, they're going to try to establish that run. They're not going to have success. And then they're going to go back to slinging it to Galladay and Tate and Jones. So that running game will kick in later in the game, not early, like they've been trying to establish all the time. So I like Stafford at 73 in the tier 2.
I do like Stafford the way you're talking about him now. It's exciting.
Wow, I guess I'm doing a really great job selling this guy.
You're going to hate my tier 3.
You're going to hate my tier 3.
Believe it or not, I'm going Eli against Washington.
Elijah Manning.
For 6,700. Because here's the thing. Washington, like I said, the front's so good, they're going to take away Saquon.
Yep.
Right? If the Giants have any chance to win this game, Eli's going to have to throw the ball.
Yes.
You can throw the ball against Washington's defense.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tall task, but if Saquon has a bad game, or better yet, if you have a really good game plan and go play action pass and get the ball out of Eli's hands.
Oh, what do you mean, attacking down the field before the game's out of reach?
I think that would be a good idea instead of dinking and dunking every play.
Yeah, and that's us saying that, but Shermer's probably calling these plays, and Eli just is not delivering the ball down the field.
True, and maybe I just think he's.
You're right. I do hate that. I can't go there. What's he? 67?
6,700. The more I'm talking about it, the more and more I dislike it too. But hey. I'm going to put it out there for you.
Yes, with all the expensive options at running back, I feel like the trend is going to be to pay down. So if you want to differentiate, pay up. But I have a lineup where I'm rolling Gurley and Hunt. I don't like it because I'll spoil this. This is the week Todd Gurley underwhelms. Not because he's not going to produce. At 11,000, you need 22 points for cash value. That means he has to score a touchdown.
Yeah.
And if you're paying down, if a tight end you're paying like 5,000 for doesn't get in the end zone but still gets 3.5 points, that doesn't crush you. But when you spend, of your 60,000, you spend 11,000 on one player who doesn't hit value, there is no path to victory from that. Because when you pay up, you have to find these other avenues to fit that guy in. So I'm going, if you want to go the Gurley route, I won't be this weekend. Josh Rosen, 6,400 at home against the Niners. He's had a little bit of time after that Thursday night game. He's got extra time to prepare. They got a new offensive coordinator, and he's 6,400. And I'm pairing him with the cheap AF Christian Kirk, 5,400. So like I said, what this guy allows you to do is he allows you to fit in Gurley and Hunt, or Hunt and Devontae Adams. It allows you to jam in some really good studs in a week where there's a lot of obvious chalk, and you want to have some of that in your lineup. So that's my tier 3 guy, Rosen at 6,400.
I like it. I like where your head's at.
I can't go that low. I just can't depend on a quarterback like that.
You could.
I can't trust it.
You could do it. You should do one lineup where you've got it.
Let's pay all the way down for like Lamar Jackson.
Sure.
55.
Maybe he rushes for a touchdown.
Yeah, last week he finally got in the end zone. Still not enough. Let's go to running back. And before we get into individual players, I just gave my thoughts on whether or not to play Todd Gurley. On FanDuel, I'm out at $11K.
It's so much.
It's too much. You have to get you never want to go into a game where you have to have 25 points from a player just to stay afloat. Now, of course, things could change. There might be some injury news where, like late last week, we got the Nick Chubb opening, so it's not as hard to fit a guy like that in. We could get news that, Raheem Mostert's going to get the start if Braid is inactive, which means you now have a $5,600 starter, so it's not as hard. But right now, I'm having a lot of trouble getting a Gurley lineup that I feel confident in. For cash, anyways. Your thoughts, though?
I'm with it. I'm staying away from Gurley.
It's too much. When you have to have a touchdown just to make value, it's too much.
I
for
agree.
Me. But your tier 1 running back then?
James Conner against the Browns, $8,000. Cleveland's D is really, really bad.
Yes. They have been. And they've been bad against the run, which is not, what they've been bad at the past, 10 or so games in this sample.
So, first matchup, Conner had a big game. No reason to think at home he's not going to, do pretty much the same thing. So I think 8,000, that's a steal, honestly, to me.
It is a good price. I wish he was if he was like 78, it would be a no-brainer. But if I'm going 8,000, I'm going to Kareem Hunt at 8,100. Just a tick more expensive, but man, we've seen what teams have done against Denver in that run defense. And like I've talked about, unless they do an entire, schematic change to where they don't run the same front anymore, this is going to keep happening. And Kareem Hunt has finally become that player we thought he would be, where he's getting the catches now in the passing game, and they're still pounding him at the goal line, and they're not doing these jet sweeps and tosses to wideouts. So, man, I have Hunt everywhere. There's not a single lineup I'll make without Kareem Hunt. And this is a guy who, if you fade Todd Gurley, can give you Todd Gurley production because he has the same sort of workload. And the Chiefs just score a ton of points. It doesn't matter how. They are going to score points, and he's going to be part of it. So that's my tier 1, Kareem Hunt.
All right.
Yep. Your tier 2.
So I just talked about him a little bit earlier, but I'm going Tariq Cohen for $7,100 against the Jets. Okay. I just, once again, I like him a lot better than Howard. He does what Nagy wants the offense to do. But last 3 weeks, in the past game, he's gotten 8 targets.
Been huge.
9 targets, and 13 targets. 7 catches, 8 catches.
That's huge.
So I know he's probably not going to get 13 targets, but he is trending in the direction
if he gets 8 and catches half of them.
Exactly. And then you're looking at, 4 catches for 60 yards, and he usually gets in the box if that's the case.
Yeah, and he might get close to double-digit carries, so I don't mind it. I don't mind the play. I'm probably going to go different.
Because I like Trubisky's rushing upside, that's why I'm going Cohen. Because, he escapes the pocket, dumps the ball off, or they run They run so many screens.
They do.
They run screens to the receivers. They run screens to the running back. They run screens to Trey Burton.
Yeah.
So, I just – the workload for Tariq Cohen is just – if I'm going to go Trubisky, that's where I'm going because I just think he's going to target him an awful lot.
I don't mind it at all, especially since we talked about, this is the classic example where a guy was great in fantasy, awful in real life. And when you have one of these guys who's making plays with his feet and looking to sort of run first if the first read isn't there, they like the easy throws, and the running backs are easy throws. So the logic fits, and that way you don't have to essentially worry about, a Taylor Gabriel getting 2 targets and not catching either of them because Cohen will get work in the run game, even if it's limited. So I don't mind it, but I'm going to this guy, Phillip Lindsay, 6,500. I just talked about how the Chiefs are dynamic. They're going to run the ball all over them. The Chiefs have also themselves not been very good against the run. Granted, most teams aren't running against them because they're having to play catch-up, but if you commit to running the football, you can have success. And right now, with Freeman being seriously questionable, didn't practice today, if we can get Phillip Lindsay at 6,500 as the starter, the guy's game flow proof. Now, they will work in Devontae Booker because that's what they do. But if you can guarantee me Lindsey's going to get all the carries that he and Freeman normally get, and he'll still get pass catching work while they're playing from behind, yeah, Lindsey is 6,500. I'm very interested in that. And like I talked about earlier, I love Marlon Mack at 67, but he didn't practice today. And this is a guy who's, notoriously questionable. That's why he was out the first almost half of this season, just trying to get healthy. So Lindsey's going to be my pivot if Mack is not good to go. And if Freeman's out, Mack's status is irrelevant. I'm going to go Lindsey.
Yeah, Freeman's out, no question.
No question. All right, your tier 3.
So this is if you want to pay up at a lot of other positions, which you probably shouldn't do at the running back position, but I've got Duke Johnson for 5,300 against Pittsburgh. And this is me banking on Pittsburgh scoring a lot of points and basically Cleveland having to throw the ball to keep up. So obviously Hyde's gone. Chubb's the starter, no question. He's going to get the bulk of the work on the ground. But through the air, Duke Johnson's still the guy in that backfield. He's had 4 catches in back-to-back weeks. 4 catches doesn't seem like a lot. But, 4 catches if you're getting 6 or 7 targets. And from the running back position, if you get 4 catches, it's probably a decent amount of yards. So I'm just banking on that they're going to have to throw the ball, so he's going to get work. Yeah. So at 5,300, it's like a shot in the dark play. If you're paying up at a lot of other positions, there's a chance, hey, maybe he gets 6 catches for 75 yards and gets in the end zone one time. Maybe it's garbage time. Who knows?
It's been rough for Duke Johnson because, like we talk about so much, the coordinators have such a huge impact on these guys' production. It's insane. Everyone's looking like, well, they're not using Duke Johnson like last year. Well, also keep in mind, they didn't win a game last year, right? So if Duke Johnson's getting 8 or 9 targets a game, is that conducive to winning? Clearly it's not, because we have a 16-game sample that says no. If he's your most productive running back, it's not a good thing. So I get that play. I just think it's just too risky for cash. Find a huge risk. Find a way. If you said he is 53, find a way to get to Doug Martin at 6,000, or Doug Martin I think is 57, or Isaiah Crowell at 6,000. Find a way to get there. In my opinion. But if you have strong feelings about that's how you see the game planning out, then Duke Johnson makes sense. So my tier 3 guy of expensive taste at running back this week. Man, he burned me so hard. So I have that buyer's remorse here. Chris Carson, 6,300 against this Detroit run D. I've already talked about Damon Harrison. I'm not worried about his presence. He literally just got there today after being traded yesterday. Like I said, he probably didn't even practice because of the physical and everything else you have to clear before being able to practice. So I'm assuming he's not there. We're going to get the same Detroit run defense. I will be paying attention to Ziggy Ansah if he plays or not. But we've seen Seattle wants to commit to the run. Russell Wilson has not been throwing like he has in the past. And now you can say whatever you want, however you feel about it. That's just the reality. So if Brian Schottenheimer is going to keep pounding the rock, Chris Carson at 63 is very attractive to me against this horrible Lions defense. Lions run D.
It's a very, very logical play.
But it's tough because I played him against the Raiders and I got burnt because his touchdown got taken off the board. And if you're in a committee and you get a look at the end zone, that's probably the only one you're getting. And Russell Wilson happened to throw 4 touchdowns in that game, none of which were to Doug Baldwin, by the way. None of them to Doug Baldwin. My God.
Tough.
Tough is right. But yes, that's my outlook at running back. Let's move to wide receivers. Will, who do you like at the top?
I'm going big. Antonio Brown, 8,800. You got 16 targets in that first matchup against Cleveland. Again, Cleveland's defense is not any good. It is at home, so Big Ben should have a big game. The volume's just unbelievable always with Antonio, so no reason to think that won't continue against Cleveland here, $8,800.
Right. And some people might be thinking about, well, what if they use Denzel Ward in shadow? Well, Denzel Ward's been good as a rookie. We're talking about Antonio Brown.
Yes.
I mean, the guy is one of the handful of receivers. Maybe there's only, maybe 3 or 4 that are essentially just matchup proof. Those guys are Antonio Brown, Julio Jones, DeAndre Hopkins, and probably Odell. I would love to count Adam Thielen, but when you play in the slot, it's a whole different game as far as shadowing. Like you have to have, like essentially Darrelle Revis to feel comfortable kicking your shadow corner into the slot for 70% or more of the snaps. So he's part of that group that's almost matchup proof. And he just has a history of beating Cleveland down.
Yes, he does. Pittsburgh has got a history of beating Cleveland down.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. But no, if you're looking to get expensive that way, that's going all the way to the top is never bad. Just depends on how you want to build your lineup. Like I said, I have expensive taste at running back, so something's got to give for me. So my tier 1 receiver is Emmanuel Sanders at 7,200. I'm playing around with lineups with Devontae Adams in it. If I was going to go to that price range, it would be Devontae at number 1, 8,600, because, man, the guy just gets peppered with targets, and he gets peppered with the so valuable red zone and end zone targets. So if I'm going to pay up, it will be Devontae Adams. But right now, my tier 1 receiver is Emmanuel Sanders, 7,200. He's not questionable, so he's not going to go into the game with that ankle injury. He's going to be heavily targeted because they will be playing from behind. And he's the number 1 target on that team. With the Demaryius Thomas rumors swirling about him getting traded, Keenum's just going to keep going back to Sanders, and that's what we've seen the whole season. So why would it stop now?
Very true.
And I think we're getting a deal at 7,200. If he was 7,500, I'd be off him. But 7,200, you make that work. 80 yards and a touch is what you need from him. Not counting catches. If you get your catches, you don't even need the full 80. But
he should get your catches too. By the way,
he will. But yes, that's my little bit different take. I'm paying down normally at wide receiver this week, so 7,200 is my tier 1 guy at Emmanuel Sanders.
I like it.
Yes, your tier 2 guy.
I'm going Ty, just because I like the matchup too much against Oakland. Obviously, he had those 2 touchdowns last week, but Luck's 2 games in a row now that he's played really, really, really well. Like almost no mistakes last week.
Which I was impressed with. Like, he just seemed like, I'm just gonna complete these easy passes, and if we keep moving the ball, whatever.
And I think he can. I know it's on the road, but there's no way he shouldn't be able to do that against Oakland. They're a dumpster fire. They're terrible.
Yes.
So if Luck plays well, Ty is going to play well too, because there's really not many options to throw the ball to.
And how about the use of Ty in the end zone? A guy he's clearly their number 1 receiver. He's a number 1 receiver in the NFL.
Yes.
But he's not huge. He's not a big body guy, but they found ways to get him the ball in the red zones. I mean, it's a T.Y. Hilton number that had to make you happy, Will.
It was big.
Like 4 catches for 2 touchdowns.
It was like 4 catches for like 25 yards, but it was 2 touchdowns. I was like, yes.
I love that. I love how they're just featuring a guy like that in the red zone, which that was always the thing with T.Y. It's boom or bust. Yep. But it's nice to see maybe we're seeing a bigger floor from T.Y. Hilton. My number 2, like I said, pay down, Kenny Golladay. I like Stafford a lot, and Galladay's the guy I'm pairing. For some reason, Tate is just more expensive. I know he's gonna get targeted more, but he doesn't get the valuable targets like Kenny Golladay. And you can argue, well, Tate's very good run after catch. Yeah, he is, but I can't count on run after catch. I can only count on, how many targets and what kind of targets they are. And I know Kenny Golladay gets the end zone targets. That's who they're going to. He had a touchdown last week, and they got pulled off the board because Frank Ragnow, oh my God, he's had like 3 or 4 penalties this year that have erased touchdowns. He's got to be the lowest guy in that Detroit locker room right now. But I love Kenny Golladay at 6,600. Really, it makes you feel confident about your number 2 wide receiver if you're paying up in other places, and that is very hard to do.
Yep, 100%.
Are you dumpster diving at wide receiver 3 this week?
Not as far down as I think you're going to go, but it might be the same team.
Okay.
I've got Fitz against the Niners. Okay. Here's the thing. As bad as Fitz, it's not even his fault, but they've been bad, and he has been unproductive. But now it's 2 weeks in a row. He's gotten 8 targets. He's starting to be utilized a little bit more. He got in the end zone for the first time last week. He's 5,800. He's got a teammate that Rosen's really liked for 5,400.
Yes.
Who's a little bit cheaper.
He's got a teammate that I really like at 5,400.
I think Fitz is starting to become a more consistent play than you're going to talk about Kirk.
Yes. And I'll have to go back and look, as much as I don't want to rewatch that Denver-Arizona game. I'm going to have to look because it just seemed like Rosen either was missing Fitz or wasn't even going his way. And if I'm paying down this low, I mean, Kirk has a better chance to make value than Fitz because Kirk is getting down the field targets. Now, Fitzgerald could get the end zone target, and that's fine, but it could end up being, 4 catches for 40 yards and a touchdown. And I mean, that's what, 12 points? That's more than enough in given his price. But Kirk has the ability to make cash value in yardage and catches and not necessarily have to get the touchdowns. And he's $400 cheaper. That's why I'm going down to Kirk.
I don't disagree with you.
I'm worried about Fitzgerald taking from Kirk if we're going that low.
No, and that's the thing. Like 2 weeks ago, Kirk to me, no question. But like as I'm looking at these game logs, Kirk's gotten over 12 points twice. One 12-5 and another time at 16-5. And Fitz has only done it once, but Fitz is trending in the other direction.
He also had to deal with an injury earlier in the season.
Sure.
I'm also interested to see how the Leftwich effect is going to have on this team. I mean, I can almost guarantee you David Johnson is going to benefit the most because when you pay a running back like that money, he has to show value. So they're going to come out, probably feature Johnson a lot, and these receivers aren't going to get a whole lot of work until maybe the second half.
I could absolutely see that.
So, but no, like I said, my tier 3 option is Christian Kirk at 5,400. If you really want to stack studs at the top, run with the Rosen Kirk stack. I mean, that's incredible value. What is that off the top of my head? 6'5", 11,800 for 2 players, the quarterback and wide receiver 3 who are on the same team.
Or you could have Gurley for 11,000.
Yeah, or you could have one player for 11,000. But no, that's gonna wrap up our receivers. Tight end Will. I have one tight end that I really like. I'm just gonna name another one for option's sake, but I'm all in on CJ Uzomah. Still no Croft, clearly no Eifert. Tampa Bay's been very bad against tight ends, man. Like we've seen, like Njoku, Hooper, McDonald. I mean, and it's not like we're talking about household names here getting it done against them. Ertz crushed them. So I love Uzomah at 5,400. And I mean, he got a touchdown on Sunday Night Football, and which means Andy Dalton trusts him in the red zone where it's important. And he's on the field a ton. He's always on the field, and at 5,400, it's hard to get a player like that. So that's my main guy. My second tight end is Trey Burton, just because maybe you want to get a little bit different. Trey Burton at 6,400. I got no problem if you want to go there. I'm strictly playing CJ Uzomah. That's it.
I'm going to the other side of that game. I've been really big on Tampa Bay's tight end, so I'm going to go O.J. Howard against the Bengals. Once again, we talked about how bad the Bengals D's been. It's hard to imagine they're 31st in total defense in the league, but 5,800 for O.J. Howard. Jameis loves to work the tight ends, loves Mike Evans and the tight ends. So O.J. Howard's got really big play potential. He's better than Brait in that regard, so I'm going to go O.J. Howard here.
Nice. And I mean, for coming back from the injury they claimed he had, he looked really good.
Yeah, he looks explosive.
He looked like he could move really well for having whatever partial tear they claimed he had. So, my goodness, I got nothing wrong with that. And I mean, I don't know how bad Cincinnati specifically has been against the tight end, but it doesn't matter if Jameis is just going to feature him. So, I'm totally cool with that. I'll let you take the lead on defense because you posed a question to me like, hey, I got a defense that you're going to hate. Like, yeah, I've never even had them on the radar, but they are this week. So what is that defense with?
I'm taking Chiefs D against Denver. Chiefs D has been terrible, but hear me out on this one. I think the Chiefs get up in this game relatively early. They'll get up. Force Keenum to throw the ball on the road. And I don't like Keenum's accuracy. I think he's got the tendency to turn the ball over. I think he could do that a couple times if he's forced to throw a lot. This play only works if the Chiefs offense plays well.
And not to mention the sack potential, because they showed they could get to the quarterback. Mm-hmm. This defense is surprisingly good on third down. I don't know if that's because people are throwing on first and second down, having incompletion, so they're having longer third downs, or if this team is just legitimately good on third down. I can't really dig into that, but they're good on third down, which means they can either get a sack or turnover or force an incompletion. So if teams are not sustaining drives against the Chiefs, they're probably not getting a lot of points. So
I agree with that.
And what is their price? 39?
3,900.
Okay. Any other defense for you?
No, that's where I'm going to go.
Nice. I've got 2. My preferred defense is Baltimore at 3,700. So I don't usually like playing road defenses. Just something about it just doesn't sit right. But we just saw this Baltimore unit really, I don't want to say, because nobody stops Drew Brees, but like that's as good as you can play against Drew Brees in that offense. And they should have gone to overtime, and it should have been a lot close. Like it should have gone to overtime with the extra point. So at 30, I can get the best defense in the NFL, 3,700. And yes, Cam can get his points, but he can also get that defense some points.
Sure,
so,
for sure.
Especially, and again, we both like the under. Baltimore's my primary play at 3,700. If I was to pivot from Baltimore because I got some extra cash, I'd go up to Washington because I think they're going to dominate the offensive line of the Giants with. I mean, they're just so good. They pretty much have the Alabama front with Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen. Those guys are wreaking havoc. And Saquon's going to have to get all of his damage done catching passes.
I really like Baltimore's defense, especially at that price, because Baltimore's got a really good defense. It just scares me because of Cam. He's in his own category. Like he can have an unbelievable game on the ground and blow that up.
Yeah,
like he could do nothing through the air. He could throw for 140 yards and throw 2 picks, but he could get in the end zone twice.
I was literally about to say he could throw for 150 yards, and that doesn't matter.
It doesn't. I like it, though.
We saw this. Like, he didn't show up for 3 quarters.
3 quarters.
And it didn't matter because when he's on, he's as hard as any quarterback to stop. So you're right. I'm going to be, crossing my fingers until I see the zeros in the 4th quarter because you're right. Cam can just do that at any point. He can turn it on and crush your defense. But those are the 2 I like. Baltimore, my primary. Washington's my secondary. Anything else, Will?
No, I like it.
All right. Before we close this thing down, got to get back to the top 5. Will, you're number 2 fantasy. You're number 2 L thus far the fantasy football season.
And I actually own them in a league, but it was kind of because I was forced to take them. I needed a running back. But Saquon Barkley, I was not high on, and he's been unbelievable.
Yes.
So
I was especially, dubious of Barkley. I'm like, this is a lot of sight unseen. The guy is great, but we don't know how Shermer's going to use him.
No.
We don't know how the offensive line's going to hold up. And I look just as dumb. Barkley should be on my list, but he's not on my list.
He's been fantastic.
Yeah.
He's fun to watch.
I mean, I would honestly consider him number 1 overall next year.
For sure. We talked about this in a show earlier.
Yeah, we did. I think he's currently the best running back in the NFL.
He's the most complete back in the NFL.
Dude, as good as Todd Gurley is, Todd Gurley's not doing shit with that offensive line because he's a different kind of runner. Barkley can start, stop, side to side a lot better than Gurley can. So Gurley behind that Giants offensive line would not be 70% of the player that he is in LA right now. So I think Barkley will contend for the number 1 overall pick next year, especially if there's a new quarterback. If there's a new quarterback, dude, like he might be the unquestioned number 1 pick with Le'Veon Bell most likely being on a different team.
Yeah.
So, and we haven't even talked about that, but we don't need to. We've talked about this. If you haven't made a plan for Bell, you're probably not winning anything this year. So, my number 2 miss, Demaryius Thomas, and it's just a miss. I didn't know Keenum was going to favor Sanders so much, and I should have paid more attention to the data about these red zone targets. For one, you have to consistently get into the red zone for him to get targeted in the red zone. But Demaryius Thomas was absolutely crushing in terms of who's getting the touchdown opportunities. It was Thomas far and away from Sanders for the past few years. And I thought, well, if we get an upgrade at quarterback, how can that hurt him? Well, we've gotten an upgrade at quarterback, and it's hurt him. I think Cortland Sutton is the reason you're hearing these DT trade rumors because they have an heir apparent. Man, I was so wrong on Demaryius Thomas. Who knew you could have just waited 2 rounds and gotten the number 1 player on Denver's team, Emmanuel Sanders? I had no clue.
It's been bad, and I owned him, and I luckily traded him.
You flipped his. You flipped his ass.
I got CY, so I'm happy.
Yeah, good for you. Nice trade there, sir.
Thank you.
Yes. I don't have. I actually don't have a rant.
I don't either.
I did a lot of ranting on Tuesday. A lot of people not really understanding math. People just sort of, not being genuine to their audience in terms of broadcasting. A lot of energy got out on Tuesday. So No rant from either of us today. Will never has a rant. I've yet to actually seen Will be mad about something. Nothing in baseball, the World Series? Not the Dodgers?
No.
And you're not even a Dodgers fan, but I know you probably have thoughts on some of the lineup changes they made, right?
I can't believe that they kept Cody Bellinger and Max Muncy out of their lineup, and they went with Chris Taylor, who literally cannot make contact with the ball, and Kike Hernandez. We're talking about 2 All-Stars. Cody Bellinger was the Rookie of the Year last year.
NLCS MVP.
Max Muncy hit 35 home runs. That's 60 home runs between Bellinger and Muncy you're keeping out of the lineup to put in Chris Taylor, who hit 230 and struck out more than anybody in the league.
Yep.
And Kike Hernandez, who was a part-time player. That's outrageous to me.
Yes.
I get it against Chris Sale because Chris Sale's breaking ball is unbelievable, and it's hard for a left-handed hitter to hit that left-handed breaking ball. David Price's best secondary pitch is a changeup, which he doesn't use to left-handed hitters. So he was going to throw those lefties fastballs, and they would have eaten on that day. And, of course, they get left out of the lineup because Dave Roberts had a computer tell him who he should play instead of actually understanding how to – I can't even. So I did have a rant because it's outrageous.
And I wanted to specifically get there because it's kind of the conversation we had on Tuesday about the math and going for 2 and how much a role analytics should play. And we said, baseball is heavy analytics driven. Football has a few more variables that you can't really quantify. But I thought that was a good parallel. We had, the ESPN broadcast who didn't even know what the math and what that kind of stuff, what kind of the options look like there. And then you have a team like the Dodgers who's considered probably way too far into letting analytics dictate their decisions and things like that. So the best of everything is almost always a mix, a healthy mix of understanding the numbers and the situation. But no, I did want to bring that up because I was just curious to hear because I don't know shit about baseball.
Oh, it was terrible. And I'm not rooting for anybody in particular in this series. I don't. Dave Roberts, man, he's considered a really good manager, but he's in the playoffs now. I'm starting to see it more and more. Managers are trying to do too much.
Yeah.
Instead of just going with what got them there. I saw with the Brewers when they did all this bullpenning stuff, they tried to do too much. It hurt Craig Counsell. Hader was in games too early because guess what? The last 3 outs in a game is still the hardest 3 outs to get. It doesn't matter. Everybody says, well, you shouldn't save your closer because there might be a situation where you need to use them. There's something about the 9th inning, and it's the hardest time to get 3 outs. So people are trying to do too much. They just need to stick with what got them there.
Especially in that series where it's the Brewers do their bullshit, and then the Dodgers come back with them. So you have both coaches trying to do too much. Yeah.
And the Red Sox just understand exactly who they are, and they just roll with it.
Love it. That would be a great note to end the podcast on, but we got to get to our number 1 miss, Will. So before you get to your number 1, review your top 5.
I went Luck, McCaffrey, Thielen, Saquon are my top 5. They were all guys that I was low on that have outperformed my expectations. My number 1, I'm sticking with that, by the way. A guy I was low on but has way outperformed my expectations. Pat Mahomes, easy for me. I did not think he would be near what he is. Everybody that asked me if they should draft him, my relatives, my friends, I said, stay away. I think he's going to turn the ball over. And they're all looking at me like, you're an idiot because he's an MVP candidate.
Well, everyone's an idiot. When it comes to quarterbacks, really once you're in the 9th round, you can take a quarterback and it won't kill your roster. So it's not your fault that everyone had 3 chances at Mahomes in the 9th, 10th, and 11th rounds and didn't draft him.
Yeah, but I was higher on Mariota and
we couldn't have seen this coming from me. Mariota has just devolved into something that is unrecognizable. So I don't blame you there. But that's a good one. You're just owning the Mahomes thing.
I have to.
So my top 5 guys I missed on: Jamal Williams, Robbie Anderson, Marvin Jones, Demaryius Thomas. Number 1 guy I missed on: Adam Thielen. I had the chance. I wanted to make sure because I take notes during my drafts. I had the chance to draft him in every single redraft league. Every single one. I passed on him in all of them because I bought into the Diggs hype. Diggs got the big contract in the offseason. Diggs was the talk of training camp. And we've seen what's happened. And for a while, it looked like Diggs and Thielen could both be super productive in this offense, and it just hasn't happened.
I honestly consider not playing Diggs this week.
You must have some good options then.
I don't.
Oh.
So
what were you considering? You don't mind me asking. Even though we're a little over, but
Edelman and Funchess.
I'm
not going to play Funchess against Baltimore. I'm not going to do it, but I was considering.
And Patriots run up the score, so Edelman's in play.
I have to play Edelman. I can't not play.
Yeah,
Edelman.
You drafted him and waited on him. Now you gotta roll with him. But no, I appreciate that. We own the L's, and there were way more than 5. We probably could have done top 10 guys we missed
30.
On. All of them. We missed on all of them except the guys we drafted. And even then, LaShawn McCoy. I'm just waiting for the one game he gets against the Dolphins, man. I'm just waiting for that one game.
We'll see.
Man. All right, but that is going to wrap things up for this edition of the Suck My DFS podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Good luck this weekend. Main slate, FanDuel. Let's cash.